Hey guys, I'm back with another photo walk, and today I'm showing you the Dutch coast because we are taking a trip to Scheveningen. That day I shot with one of my favorite film stocks, which is Kodacolor VR 400. I just love the colors that this film produced, and I'm so sad that it does not get produced anymore. So the roll that I had was expired, and it has been expired for 10 years already. So to compensate for the loss of light sensitivity, I shot it at an ISO of 200. I did work with this film before, which is why I knew how it would behave, especially on a sunny day like this, which came in very handy. Perfect. A really prominent building right next to the beach is the Grand Hotel Amrad Kurhaus. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, but it has been open since like 1818, so a really long time. And I personally think that it has such a vintage charm, and it really reminds me of the past of the beach and the area that it has. It is also one of the last buildings in the area that has that style, and it makes it stand out even more because all of the other buildings that are surrounding it were built really quite later. It was actually such a nice day. It was very sunny, it was very warm, and there were a lot of people around, but not too many that you would say, okay, this is like way too crowded. So it was literally just right. What I found very interesting were those ice cream parlors that were standing across the boardwalk. I captured 3 of them because I really liked the architecture of it. It really reminded me of the mid-century building style and architecture. I don't know if I'm right with that, but that is what it reminded me of. I feel like you can usually find those more in the United States and really rarely in the Netherlands, because I think the building style maybe was different here during that time, of course, or it was also just not as popular. So from that style, I would really guess that those buildings were maybe built in like the 50s or 60s, and actually did some research about that because I wanted to know, like, were these always there? Scheveningen has a huge history, it goes all the way back, but I couldn't really find any evidence that they were there during like the 50s or 60s. So who knows, maybe I'm right or maybe I'm not. I also wanted to say that this was my first time really photographing on a beach, and I think it was a really interesting experience for me because the beach is a space where people are really vulnerable, and of course people are not that open to taking pictures. I feel like Dutch people in general are not as open to street photography as Americans. This is not necessarily a bad thing. I think people here are maybe just a little bit more private and they like their privacy. But on the beach makes it even harder to photograph people. So I really try to respect people's surroundings and boundaries. And that actually worked quite well with my photography style. I always call it like a secretive photography approach. I'm usually very quiet. I'm not I'm usually not directly in people's faces because I don't want anyone to confront me most of the time. So I always photograph people a lot of times where you can't really see their faces and anything, and I really like doing that too because I think it really adds to my style, and it's just how I like to document the world around me. So because I'm a lot more observing and less invading with my style, that worked really well in this environment. The pier is probably one of the most popular views that you can find on this beach. It has this huge Ferris wheel and this bungee jumping tower, and you can literally see it from anywhere, wherever you are on the beach. You can see it from the beach, you can see it from the water, you can even see it if you walk the boardwalk. And that is also why you can see it as a focal point in many of the pictures that I took that day. The Dutch coast is actually really nice. It is much nicer than the North Sea coast that I'm used to from Germany. The Netherlands has beautiful sand beaches, a lot of times really long sand beaches. They have dunes and everything, and that was really nice to see. I was there with a friend that day, so at one point we decided that we wanted to take a short walk through the dunes. They start right next to the beach, but they actually go on quite for like a longer time. It is quite a huge area that is just dunes, and you can actually go into them. And I saw that there are like cows somewhere, but we sadly couldn't find those cows that day, but maybe I will come back and I will find them another time. I grew up near the coast and near the ocean in Germany, and every time I can come back to the ocean, it really makes me really happy. So I was having a really good time finally capturing the Dutch coast and the Dutch North Sea on film while I was there. Scheveningen especially was a very nice place to capture on film because my style is very vibrant, it is very colorful. I'm always looking for these kind of things in the places or environments that I photograph. And Scheveningen had surprisingly a lot of different pops of color everywhere, and that made it really fun for me to just find those scenes and see what I can capture. The pier also allowed me to work with some really cool angles and perspectives that I do not usually come along when I photograph somewhere. So that day I really like to work with this like bird eye view perspective from a little bit more above, which was really interesting with all the beach objects and the overall theme that I was going for with that day. I just thought that it was really cool because as a photographer you rarely come across this kind of opportunity, especially when you're photographing in street. I feel like most of it is usually from like an eye level angle really. So I really think that here I was able to capture some pretty interesting scenes. You could ride the Ferris wheel, you could also go bungee jumping, but another thing you could do is going on the zip line. So there was this huge zip line that was also from the tower, and then it went all the way down to the pier. And this was really cool because when you are going to walk on the pier, you could literally see people flying overhead of you on the zip line. And I thought, why not capture that, because it looked really cool. So I got a cool picture with 2 people ziplining and also the Ferris wheel in the background.
So I just got dinner and I'm gonna eat it now, and then my time here is almost over. I'm gonna take the train back, but I have I would get 3 to 4 pictures maybe left on the roll that I have in right now. So I'm still gonna try and find some ways to shoot it before I actually leave.
My favorite photo of the day is probably one of the last ones that I took. It is actually quite a simple scene, but I really like the composition of it. Some kids were playing around the chairs during that time, and I just really enjoyed the composition and the contrast between the red and the blue sky. I'm actually quite happy with the photos that I took that day, and I think that Scheveningen was a really nice place to photograph with film. This was also the first time I actually scanned an entire roll of film myself, and I also think that my Kodacolor film stock was actually a perfect choice for that day. I have a lot more time now to produce videos for you guys, and I have a huge backlog with unscanned film negatives and video footage that I still have to work through during the next couple of months. So you have to stay tuned because I really have some really cool projects coming up. If you want to see more of my photo walks, you can always check out my playlist with all of my past videos. I will hopefully see you next time, and until then, bye bye!